What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video on the channel today. My name is Michael, and today we're going to be talking about DeAndre Hopkins and some potential trade opportunities that could arise from other NFL teams. Obviously, we're at that point in the NFL calendar year where it's kind of that weird middle ground post free agency in between the draft. So I think this is a good time for teams to trade for DeAndre Hopkins after not signing a receiver in free agency and maybe not wanting to have to draft a receiver in the first round this year. But before we get into this video, make sure to subscribe if you are new. Currently sitting at about 67 subscribers, two away from my big goal. So I would very much appreciate a sub. And if you enjoy this video, drop a like, drop a comment on what you think. All of these things inflate my ego, and I appreciate them very much. Thank you. Moving on to DeAndre Hopkins. Like I said, free agency is kind of up, and so we've seen some receiver needy teams sign receivers, or in the case of the Giants, trade for receivers, tight ends, Cowboys as well traded for a receiver. So trade for pass catchers is what I'm trying to say. Um, so the pool of teams to trade for DeAndre Hopkins is kind of getting smaller by the minute. So before the draft, I would like to talk about where I think DeAndre Hopkins could end up being traded to. But first, I'll have to mention that if DeAndre Hopkins is traded, I believe that his salary, his contract, will get reworked. To what degree DeAndre Hopkins is willing to take a pay cut, I don't know. But what I do know is that he probably doesn't want to fucking play in Arizona and would love to go play with a better quarterback, a better organization, and one that gives him a legitimate chance to go win a Super Bowl. So I think the obvious team there would be the Kansas City Chiefs, who are lacking at receiver at the moment. Definitely have the opportunity to win a Super Bowl because they just fucking did, and have inarguably the best quarterback in the NFL. I think that would be a great spot for DeAndre Hopkins, but would they pull the plug? And I'm not sure. Um, the reported compensation that the Cardinals want for DHop is a second round pick, which is just about what they gave up for him when they traded him at first. And I don't think he's going to fetch a second round pick. He's older. I believe he's 32. He's old. He's past his prime. He's definitely, I think, got some good ball in him. But you have to work with the age. You have to also work with the money. Even though he's making more than he will make on his new team, he's still going to make a decent amount of money. So you'd have to work with that. So I don't know if the Chiefs would be able to you know, I don't know what I negotiate a deal like that. But I do know that Brett Veach is a very good GM and could hypothetically make something happen. And I also know that the receivers on Kansas City are not very good at the moment. I don't want to say not very good. They're not very notable, right? You got Sky Moore, you've got Kadarius Toney, you've got MVS. I think that um, they could definitely use some juice in that room. They could definitely use a veteran. There's a lot of young guys. So I think DeAndre Hopkins would be a great addition for the Chiefs. But I wouldn't put it as my most likely team. I think the most likely team to go ahead and trade for DeAndre Hopkins would be the Patriots. Um, and I think that, you got to understand too, Brandon Cooks just got traded to Dallas, right? And Brandon Cooks obviously isn't the caliber receiver that DeAndre Hopkins was, but they're similar in their financial, um, you know, commitment, and they're similar in their age. And he got traded for a fifth round pick to Dallas. So I'm thinking the compensation for DeAndre Hopkins is probably a third, maybe a fourth. Um, Third or a fourth, not both. Third or a fourth for D Hop. So I think a team like the Patriots probably wouldn't mind giving that up. They really want to see what they have in Mac Jones. I think right now they're in that weird middle spot where they're not bad enough to land a top tier quarterback in like next year's draft, but they're also not good enough to seriously compete, especially with their division getting better by the second. I think you really have to do everything you can to make yourself relevant, make yourself survive. Getting DeAndre Hopkins, in my opinion, would be a good move for the Patriots. It would at least let you know what you have in Mac Jones, give you a chance to maybe win that division. And then if it all blows up, then Mac Jones doesn't get his fifth year option picked up, et cetera, et cetera. I think the Patriots are willing to spend a little bit of capital on receiver. They proved that by signing Juju Smith Schuster in the offseason. Um, so I think the Patriots make sense as well. I also think another team that makes sense is probably the Giants. Even though they signed, Paris Campbell and they re-signed Darius Slayton, and like I said earlier, they traded for Darren Waller. I really wouldn't call Daniel Jones' weapons good up until this point. So I think adding D Hop after you're paying Daniel Jones all that money would be a very good thing for the Giants. Where they get that money, I'm not sure, but they'll figure it out. Another team I've heard brought up are the Bears. Um, I don't know if the Bears would do that, only because they've basically given up, you know, a lot of draft capital, a lot of capital for receivers in the last year. They've traded, the 32nd pick for Chase Claypool, and then not straight up, but they traded the first overall pick and some other picks for DJ Moore. So I don't know if they want to trade more capital for receiver. Plus, DHop's very expensive. Plus, he's older. The Bears aren't going to compete next year. They want probably young guys. Um, so I'm not thinking that D-Hop makes a lot of sense. So in my opinion, the Giants and the Chiefs make the most sense here. Um, but let me know what team you think DeAndre Hopkins will head to. My money. My money would be on the Patriots. I'm gonna put my money on the Patriots. I think Bill Belichick is gonna pull some dark magic and take DeAndre Hopkins to load up for Mac Jones. But let me know what you guys think down below. Where do you think D Hop is going to end up, and what do you think he will end up fetching in the trade market? Let me know. I appreciate you guys watching. Peace out.